Welcome, 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 everybody. We are on session 4 for 2023 of our monthly group coach-a-thon. I'm just so excited to be able to spend this time with you guys. I always miss you guys when I don't get to see you throughout the month. And I'm always excited to be able to hang out with you for a brief time on a monthly basis. And I really, truly appreciate your support and appreciate all that you guys provide when you do come in, everything that you have to offer, as well as I'm hoping that you're always receiving something from these meetings as well. And tonight we're going to be, I just kind of want to have a little chit chat. And this particular meeting, really, I would love it if we could get a lot of engagement, a lot of your input, and, just sharing with us your journey about your online business and finding balance in your online business. And I've got a presentation I will be showing you, and I'd like for you guys to provide some input. And also, I am going to provide some scripture, and I'm not doing it to offend anyone. And if you're not a believer or whatever you call creator, but this is going to come from the Bible. And if you're offended, I apologize. And if it's all right with you guys, I just wanted to let you know that I will be presenting some scripture to go along with some of the content that I'm presenting today, because my journey that I've been on the last couple of years has brought me closer to my creator. And I recognize that I need to stay connected to him on a daily basis in everything, not just in my life, but in my business as well, in my health and everything that goes on within my life. And so with that said, I am going to share my screen with you all. Okay, you should be able to see my PowerPoint called Finding Balance. Just give me a thumbs up if you can see it. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody so we don't get any interruptions on the recording, if that's okay with you guys. Let me see. Okay, so everybody, if anybody pops in, if I should be notified, but if I miss it, somebody can just unmute themselves and let me know that I have someone waiting in the outer chamber to get in. But it has been giving me a little ping to notify me. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Wrong button. There we go. Okay, so you can see my screen, right? The full screen now with Finding Balance in an Online Business. Just give me a thumbs up, Marianne. Okay, good. All right, so Finding Balance in Online Business. And the primary scripture for this presentation is found in Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. And many of you may be familiar with it, but it just really, truly speaks to everything about our life. And when we're doing an online business, even our online business has different seasons. We personally find ourselves in different seasons of life. And as we're growing our business goes through different stages and falls into different seasons as well. And Ecclesiastes 3 verses 1 through 8 says, to everything there is a season. So right there, it's telling us to everything there is a season. And I was reminded just recently of the different seasons that my life has been in over the past 2 years with my, what I call crash and burn of 2021. Many of you know of my vertebrae compression fractures with osteoporosis in May of 2021. So you've watched my journey. Many of you have been a part of my journey, and I appreciate all the support that I've had throughout that journey. And in a time and a time to every purpose under the heaven, Everything has a purpose. We have a purpose. God created us for a specific purpose. And our purpose is to find what is the purpose that we were created for. And only Him can give that to us and show us what our purpose is. And it often goes into, I know many of you have probably spent time in Ecclesiastes. And you may have heard many people talk about it, but a time to born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill, sorry guys, a time to kill, a time to die, or a time to heal, a time to break down, a time to build up, a time to weep, and a time to laugh, a time to mourn, and a time to dance. And for me, this tells us that we have permission. We have permission to mourn. We have permission to weep. We have permission to laugh. We have permission to build others up. And sometimes when we do some things, when we're out of the right season, it can cause more harm than good. You know, maybe we feel burdened to tell someone that what they're doing is wrong. Well, is it our place to do that? Or is there a different way that we can actually approach that subject with that person? A time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, a time to refrain from embracing, a time to get and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. Sorry, guys. So tonight we're going to go over 5 steps to finding balance in business. Number 1, we're going to look at defining your priorities. Number 2, setting boundaries, what that might look like. Number 3, delegating and outsourcing. Number 4, taking care of yourself. And then the 5th, we'll just kind of do a brief review and adjust, maybe have some conversations concerning some of the content. So the benefits of finding balance within your online business is, first of all, there are many benefits of an online business. They offer many benefits. And if anyone here has anything they'd like to bring up, feel free to come off mic and just, what do you think? So what are some of the benefits of your online business? Feel free to just chime in and participate.
I'll say that some of the benefits are the joy that I bring to others through what I do and getting to meet people and seeing their smiles when they receive their products and get to using them and how I've helped them to make their life better through what I do and sell.
I love that, Marcy. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. Marianne?
Some of my benefits are I would have nothing to do, being retired, living with my daughter. If I didn't have my online business, I would probably be crawling the walls. And it does, I've met an awful lot of nice people in the United States as well as out of the country. And some of the things that they say to me, I have 2 or 3 that call me grandma. And so I have adopted grandchildren online. So that's some of the benefits, especially as you get older, your families seem to disappear. Your friends are dying away. And when you live as long as I have, I'm finding every day that I have less and less friends. I have to keep making new ones, younger ones, in order to have somebody that I can converse with. So that's some of the benefits I find with having an online business.
That's awesome. Thanks, Marianne. Sharon?
Some of my benefits of my business for myself is the feeling that I get when I'm helping someone and as they are achieving certain milestones along their health journey. I just love celebrating with them and actually pointing out to them that they had these milestones, because we do get sometimes so focused on the end result that we miss the little milestones along the way. And I love pointing those out so that they can rejoice in where they were and where they've come. They might still have some ways to go, but look where you've come from. And so that gives me a lot of joy. I love the transformations that people have when they work with me. So that's for them. So that's both sides, what I see, the benefits of for my clients and the benefits for me. And my circle of friends has grown tremendously. Like, I don't know if we live, 2 cities next to each other. And I don't know if we would have met if it wasn't for our online businesses. So that circle of friendship and collaboration has grown as well. And that helps me. I make no secret out of the fact, I don't hide it, that I suffer from depression. And all of this helps me with my depression. So that's a benefit for me.
Yeah, I love that, Sharon. Yeah, I love that. Love that mentioning, we're just a few miles away from each other. And you're right. We probably would never, ever have met each other if it hadn't been for our online businesses. And that brings into reminder, one of our members that comes in sometimes, Ginny, she lives down in the Keys in South Florida. And she came up for the governor's inauguration earlier this year. And since she was in Tallahassee, I actually was able to go and have breakfast with her and, personally, face to face, get to meet this woman that I've been connecting with on Facebook over the past few years. And that never would have happened if it hadn't been for my online business either. So there are really, when we think about those benefits of an online business, they're just, to me, so overwhelming. It's like, why would you not want to have an online business? Sandra, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yes, as a matter of fact, listening to the comments, it reminded me of the conversation that I was having with you earlier today. And it also highlighted things that I hadn't really taken time to be thankful for, the many benefits of having an online business, and many of the things that you guys have mentioned are things that I've experienced as well. I never would have grown in my ability to have more friends. I have the the ability to influence others in a way I had not or would not have imagined. I've grown tremendously personally and in my skill sets by having a business. So there's many things that I need to be thankful for that had not occurred to me, or I hadn't taken the time to explore had you not touched upon this subject now and earlier today.
Thank you, Sandra, for sharing. That's awesome. Love it. Love that you're getting some aha moments here. That's great.
Yes, most definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know if Amy's going to come off mic. I know that she was busy, and if she wanted to share a tiny bit with the benefits so many exciting things happening in Amy's life right now. So we'll just give her a second, see if she wants to jump in. Oh, okay. So we shall move right along. The benefits can also be overwhelming and lead to burnout. And that's what we're here to talk a little bit about today, is what some of those things can do to us. And then finding balance is essential to the success and longevity of your online business. Because, as I found with my personal experience, I thought I was good and healthy. And then my crash and burn of 2021 took me down, and I just had to step away from my company for several months to take care of me and to get well. And in this presentation, we will be discussing strategies for finding balance in your online business. So if you would like, drop in the chat, put me in the chat if you have ever struggled with setting priorities. Sandra says me, Sharon says me, Marianne says me. Yeah, guys. So we're not alone, right?
No.
None of us are alone in the struggles that we have in our business. So the example of priorities may include identifying what is important to you in your personal and professional life. It's that balancing act. We always have to make sure that our calendar consists of those non-negotiable times when we have to take care of us, doctor's appointments, downtime, self-care, morning ritual, evening rituals, mealtime, and then our calendar for the professional side, our business side, or maybe we work for somebody else, and that's blocked out on our calendar so that we're sure that we're making sure that we have the time that we want to have to work our business. And then to determine your top priorities and how your online business fits into those priorities. We have to be able to do that. And sometimes it takes us working with a coach to sit down and just brainstorm, or somebody else, maybe in the business that you're in, that you're connecting with, or you're cheering each other on, or maybe it's an accountability partner that you have where you sit down and say, this is my priority for this week. This is what I'm going to commit to, and have that opportunity to discuss that so you don't feel like you're alone. Now, you want to use this information to guide your decision making and setting priorities when you do set up the determination of what is it that I'm going to prioritize and how am I going to prioritize it. And right now, this brings to mind Psalm 23, verse 1 through 3. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want, and he makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads my path in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. So we want to make sure that if you are a believer, that you are allowing him to help guide you on your priorities and recognize the role that God is playing in is being allowed to play in helping you to set your priorities. So drop me in the chat if you've ever struggled with setting boundaries. Sharon says me. Me. Nobody else has trouble setting boundaries? Sandra says me. Well, I applaud you if you don't have problems setting boundaries, or if you've not struggled with setting boundaries. That is awesome. We could learn a lot from you, I'm sure. But examples of boundaries can include making sure that you have a daily schedule around your work time, including when you will or will not be available to your family. Like we talked about earlier, making sure you've got those non-negotiables planted in your calendar so that you are taking the time that you need with your family. Use technology to help you maintain your boundaries, such as setting notifications and using automation tools. But I also say making sure that you turn those notifications off during those times when you need your downtime, or when you need that quiet time, when you have that family time. So you're not sitting at the dinner table with your notifications going off and saying, excuse me, I got to take this, excuse me. No, don't do that. Make sure that you are controlling those notifications and your automated tools to be working when they need to be working for you and not interrupting your life. Communicate your boundaries to clients, customers, and team members. You know, I was listening to a coach the other day talking about her life as a coach. And she's a big top 7 or 8 earner, you know, she's way up there. And listening to her, she doesn't have a life. She does not have a life. She's got her phone set so people can contact her any time of the day, and they can reach her any time of the day. She has a small child. I think he's 11. Now, I don't want to be that kind of a coach because I need to have my life. And I don't have any children, but I have grandchildren. And if I'm going to be spending time with my grandchildren, I certainly do not want to be interrupted by a client. So for me, I will answer my messages when I can, even though I do tell my clients I'm available, just send me a message and I will get back to you. I don't say immediately, but I will respond. I will let you know that I've seen your message and I will get back to you. So we got to be very careful not to let our business take over our life. Yeah, it's important. If my business that I'm building was built for the purpose of retiring my husband, that means you're going to have to work 24/7 to do that. Well, that's not the kind of business that I operate. And I know a lot of people do. And that's not my business. That's not for my life, but maybe it is for you. And if it is, that's okay. There's no judgment, but just paying attention to make sure that whatever you decide to do in your business, that you do set things to help you to stay on track and communicate your boundaries. And then what role has God played in helping you to set your boundaries? And we can go back to that Psalm 23, verse 1-3. The Lord is my shepherd. Am I allowing him in? Am I allowing him to help guide me? So drop me in the chat if you have ever struggled with when is the perfect time when we talk about delegating and outsourcing. Maybe your business isn't at that state yet where you need to delegate or you need to outsource. But feel free to drop in the chat me if that is something that you struggle with. And Sharon says me, Marianne says me. And that is me as well. So when we talk about delegating and outsourcing, some of the examples are identify tasks that are not essential to your core business. Consider delegating or outsourcing them. But I'd also like to say, if there's tasks that are not essential to your core business, consider putting them on hold for now. For example, yes, we need to build a skill. We need to build the skills for our business. But We cannot spend our life in learning mode and never implement what we learn, or not implement regularly what we are learning, because that just keeps you from moving forward in your business. So we want to remember that as well. When is it time to hire a virtual assistant or a freelancer to take on administrative or repetitive tasks? When is it time? It's really up to you. But if you don't have enough of an income coming in for you to pay that person, that's where many people struggle. They need the help, but yet they don't have the money to pay for that help. And that's where I discovered this incredible thing called bartering. And I don't know if any of you have ever done that before or thought about doing it. But when I, whoops, went the wrong way. Oops, let me see if I can get back. Okay. When I first started rebranding my business into being a coach, I wanted to change my banner. And I had been interviewed by a virtual assistant earlier in the year. And so because I'm a coach, it's like, hey, how about this? Would you be willing to create a few pieces of content for me and I'll give you free coaching? So you can barter. So I was able to get some graphic work done for me. Didn't cost me any money. It just cost me a little bit of my time. So you want to be thinking about that as well. When you start getting into that place in your business where you're growing, you've got some income coming in, but you don't feel you have enough in it to spend for help, see what you can barter with, see what you can share with someone else. Using tools like a project management software to streamline your workflow and delegate tasks to others. As you know, that I did do a training on Penny, which is an app that is absolutely incredible. It's a free app that I've been using for my prospecting process, where I can keep track of my contacts, keep track of the people that I'm prospecting, and the last time that I connected with them. And I absolutely love it because it helps me to stay on track with the days that I am prospecting. Because if I've said I'm going to prospect 3 days a week and I've got people scheduled for those 3 days, it reminds me that I need to get in there and get my prospecting done. It's pretty cool. I love it. And many of you have seen that demo. I'm not sure if anyone has taken it on yet with their business, but it's an absolutely incredible tool that is free. There is a paid version also, but just for using it to keep track of your contacts and your prospects and where they're located on Facebook or LinkedIn is absolutely priceless. Another one that I do is the networking, doing the online networking with Alignable and Hopin. There's many places that we can be networking with other business owners and find business owners that we can collaborate with. So we want to make sure that we're doing that as well so that we aren't feeling all alone in this world that we call entrepreneurship. And that brings me to Philippians 4, verses 6 through 7. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God, which passes all understanding, shall keep your hearts and your minds through Christ Jesus. So drop into the chat, me, if you have struggled with committing to you, committing to taking care of you. And I know I was in that place prior to my crash and burn when I actually was forced to take care of me. Sandra says me, Sharon says me. Amy says me, but she's getting way better about it. Yeah, I hear you, Amy. So we're going to talk a little bit about taking care of you. And some examples of how you can take care of you is prioritizing your self-care, which includes exercise, getting up and going to that gym on the days when you don't feel like going, but you know when you get there, you're going to do something that's going to make you feel better and you're going to be glad you did it. Healthy eating, check your cabinets, make sure that you are removing all those unhealthy foods that tempt you. And I know if you have children in the house and family members in the house, that sometimes that's a difficult thing to do. But make sure that you put yourself on priority with what you're eating, that it's healthy for you, and make sure that you get the sleep that you need when you're taking care of you, even if you have family members to care for. Try to make sure that you get that sleep that's necessary. Make sure you take breaks and schedule time off to recharge and avoid burnout. Make sure you're paying attention to your body on those days when you're just like this morning. I got up, I was busy doing stuff around here, and I was just on the computer and I was thinking, you know what? I'm exhausted. I don't know why, but I'm tired. I'm actually feeling tired. So I went and laid down for 30 minutes. You know, fortunately, I can do that. I'm retired. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Sometimes we don't have that privilege. But even just to be able to go and sit in a chair and close our eyes and just meditate for 15 minutes or take some breath or go for a little walk can often help us to keep us from getting burned out and to help us recharge ourselves. Practicing mindfulness and meditation to reduce stress and increase your focus, paying attention to your body, paying attention to those things that are going on up in our brain, those things that we hear that's you're not good enough or you're not strong enough or save it for tomorrow or whatever. Make sure you recognize if that's a true statement or not. And if it's not a true statement or a positive statement, turn it around. If it's, no, you can't do that right now. Okay, look at my calendar. I'm going to put it down for whatever day. So you've got it somewhere. So you're not avoiding and staying away from what needs to happen. What goal does God have? Whoops. What role has God played in helping you to commit to your self-care? And we're looking at Proverbs 17, verse 22. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit dries the bones. And I don't know about you, but I certainly do not want dry bones. So let's just take a brief overview and review your priorities, your boundaries, your self-care practices to ensure that they are still working for you. So if anyone would like to come off mute and share with us some of the things that you have regularly prioritized for boundaries and self-care that you'd like to share with us that work for you, they just might help someone else. Go ahead, Marianne. You have to unmute. You have to unmute, Marianne. You're on mute. There you go.
Well, some of the things I do, I prioritize my meditations and prayers in the morning. I get up, have my cup of coffee, and then I go right into praying for people, also doing the daily lectionary, which are prayers and also psalms for the day. That keeps me on track because after I'm finished, I thank God for guiding me. And he does. I mean, he really, I find myself in some situations at times and then later look, how did I get out of that? And then I realize I didn't, that God got me out of it. And some of the things I do for self-help is take care of my health. I drink protein drinks. I have one every morning, and I try to eat the right fruits and vegetables. I also add additives to my shake, which is like 5 pounds of vegetables and 5 pounds of fruit. I could never eat that in a day's time. But by putting a little scoop in my shake, I have everything that I need. And I found that I've been doing it for about 2 months now regularly. And I've noticed a real change in my mental attitude, my ability to do things, to stay on track, to quit wandering, because I have a tendency to get absorbed in my knitting and I forget about everything else and realize it's late afternoon and oh my gosh, where did my time go? But I'm more cognizant of the time now, and I try to keep on track. So there are doctor's appointments and things that, interrupt with that, but I make it up later. If I have a 10 o'clock doctor's appointment, then I'll do the same thing, maybe at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So I try to stay on track.
That's awesome, Marianne. Thank you so much for sharing that, and I know that you have spent a lifetime of actually caring for yourself, or you wouldn't be living at the age that you're at with the health that you have, for sure. And that you're a real testimony, you're a walking testimony to the lifestyle that you've chosen to live for over the years and continue into your adult, after retirement years, just to continue to just take care of you and your body and move around and exercise and get all that stuff going instead of sitting in a rocking chair somewhere knitting all the time. Yeah, that's awesome. I commend you. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. Anybody else? Sandra? No? Sharon?
Yes.
Oh, here comes Sandra. Wait a minute. Go ahead, Sandra.
For me, what I have tried to give priority to is Tuesdays and Saturdays. I make time Tuesdays, particularly, to go to the gym and work out with a trainer. And Saturdays, I will do the same thing as well. Sundays, I try to make Sundays my me day. It is not for anyone, not for anything. I try to, if I do anything related to business, I make it later in the afternoon, as I'm winding down the day. I love walking. I love long walks. So walking meditations. I haven't been doing that lately because of how I was feeling. But to me, those are the things that I set aside time for. And carve out and make sure that what regardless of what I'm doing, that those things come first, and they're always listed in my calendar as my must-have, my non-negotiables.
That's awesome, Sandra. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Yeah, that's great. Marcy, did you want to say something?
What I do is I usually make like a schedule in my planner, of course, and I always set aside certain days where I'm not available for certain amounts of time to spend time with hubby, and we either watch movies or have breakfast or whatever it is, but we set a certain time, and I always, make sure that's in my planner, and I plan each day what I need to get done to make sure I have that extra time.
That's perfect, Marcy. Yeah, and I'm sure writing it down in that planner helps you to stay on track because you've got it there, opening it every day and making sure you're looking at your schedule to see what you're supposed to be doing and if you're on track or not. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. and it never gets lost in cyberspace. So
Yeah.
that's what I really love about it.
Yeah, that's perfect. Sharon? Oh, here she comes.
Yeah. So boundaries. The biggest boundary that I had to set, and it is one that I have to keep revisiting because it's a tough one, and that's setting boundaries with my mom. So we share a residence, and she doesn't understand that just because I work from home doesn't mean I'm just at home. And so I have to set boundaries with what I can and cannot do during the day when she's not here. She volunteers every day, which I love because it keeps her young and moving. And it leaves me here to work. But so that's a boundary that I have to keep setting and revisiting. And it's a tough one because she is my mom. So um, when it comes to self-care, I mentioned that I suffer from depression. So in my journal, I have a wellness tracker in my journal where I have listed um, the things that I want to make my priorities for myself. And when things are really bad with my depression, I have to put things in there like brush your teeth, get out of bed, make your bed, go outside. Um, and then there are things that on certain days I do. So I highlight that those days to make sure that they stand out. And I say I need to do this today so I can check it off. So that's a part of setting my priorities and self-care for myself.
That's awesome, Sharon. Thank you so much for being so vulnerable with us. I appreciate that, and I know that it's very important that we learn to adjust as we go as well, which it sounds like you've got that down, and noticing and paying attention and recognizing the days that you have to pay more attention to recording the expectations that you have of yourself as opposed to other days. So that's awesome. So Amy, we'd like to give you the option if you'd like to jump in with anything that you want to share with us before we close out the content.
Well, like the boundaries kind of portion, I guess I have on daily, I pretty much just take advantage of like 1 hour a day to myself, mostly. um, and it just works that it's at the end of the day and everybody's kind of to their own corners anyway. So yeah, if I didn't get my, nighttime time to myself, I think that would probably put me over the edge these days with everything going on.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing. So finding balance in your online business is essential for its success as well as your well-being. And by defining your priorities, by setting boundaries, delegating tasks, and taking care of yourself, and regularly reviewing and adjusting as you go, you can achieve a healthy balance in your online business and avoid burnout, because burnout is the number one issue that online business owners have with their business, because they tend to not pay attention to prioritizing as they go and just get busy, 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 doing. And finally, they just crash and burn, So I want to close with scripture of Ecclesiastes 7, chapters, verse 16 through 18. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why should thou destroy thyself? Be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why should thou die before thy time? It is good that thou shouldst take hold of this. Yea, also from this withdraw not thine hand, for he that feareth God shall come forth from all. So I want to say thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate all your support, and I hope that you have found great value in this presentation.